When I say I don't want to fight Mexican, it's because I represent Mexico.
I feel like Canelo's a fucking pussy.
Canelo doesn't jab anymore. He looks for one shot now. You know, I mean, the end is there for Canelo.
David Benavidez, the undefeated Mexican monster, is leaving no doubt about his intentions.
Maybe the most feared fighter in boxing. Ever see Julio Cesar Chavez in his prime? I'm talking about the daddy. I'm talking about one of the greatest fighters ever. This guy is the closest thing I have seen to a big Julio Cesar Chavez. David, I'm not putting the Chavez thing on you. I'm just saying, you're the closest thing I've seen to a big dude who fights like that. Oh, Canelo's ducking him. This dude's a monster. And I looked and I thought, am I right or wrong about that?
No, you're definitely right. You know, you're looking at a man that's not going to let anything outside the ring, you know, mess with his game. But like I said, at the end of the day, I'm not scared of nothing. You know, I accept and I invite war. You know, so if that's what the people of Riyadh, Saudi Arabia want to see, well, let's give it to them. I think everybody is starting to see that I'm fearless, I'm relentless, and I'll fight anybody to get my respect in the ring.
The unbeaten Mexican behemoth David Benz is making it clear what he intends to achieve.
Spinning back on Canelo, he was talking about how he didn't want to give David Benavidez the fight because he was being disrespectful.
When you look at the history of Canelo, all the fighters that was disrespectful, calling them out, and he fought all of them. But I just think from a Mexican standpoint, one being extra disrespectful towards the other, he took the sport out of it, and he just felt as if he wasn't going to give Benavidez the payday that.
Since witnessing Canelo Alvarez lose fight Terence Crawford, he has been outspoken and straightforward, not merely urging a brawl, but outright accusing Canelo of being afraid. Canelo Alvarez has been plagued by a single moniker for years, a problem he has continuously avoided.
I predicted Crawford by unanimous decision. You got that. You know, I just thought Crawford was too fast for Canelo. Too many combinations. Canelo doesn't jab anymore. He looks for one shot now. You know, I mean, the end is there for Canelo.
Benz is prepared to finally seize his throne and settle the score. It is now impossible to ignore that shadow following a devastating loss to Terence Crawford. The boxing scene was rocked only a few weeks ago. The unchallenged welterweight champion Terence Crawford went up 2 weight classes and gave Canelo Alvarez a performance that made him appear human. It was more than simply a defeat. It was a commanding performance that diminished the Mexican superstar's reputation. Ronnie Shields and other seasoned trainers even alluded to the possibility that Canelo's prime may be over.
First of all, I just want to give Terence Crawford a great congratulations. You know, he's reached the part in history that only so many fighters get to even accomplish in boxing. You know, he's one of the greatest of all time. There's nothing, you can't take that away from him. Terence Crawford should be on the Mount Rushmore of boxing because not only did he go up 3 weight classes, he beat one of the best fighters of his generation. I don't remember any time in history where anybody has come up from 147 pounds and won the super middleweight championship. Not only just won, but the undisputed. He's won every single title. So, you know, man, that man, not only is he a great fighter, but you could tell in that fight by seeing this combination right now how much of a dog he is. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of fighters could take a lot of notes from Terence Crawford, not only physically, but as to take notes in the heart aspect. And I give it all up to Terence Crawford. You know, he's one of the greatest of all time. And, you know, we salute Terence Crawford.
Oscar de la Hoya, however, provided a detailed analysis of Canelo's mistakes. This was no ordinary fight. It was a pivotal event that made way for a problem that had been brewing for too long. Crawford's historic accomplishment was acknowledged by David Benavidez himself in an exclusive interview with Inside the Ring. He gave Crawford a heartfelt congrats, acknowledging that he had achieved a feat that very few boxers ever do. Because he advanced up 3 weight classes and became the undisputed champion at super middleweight, Crawford should be on the Mount Rushmore of boxing, Benavidez stressed. Crawford suggests that other fighters may take a cue from his heart. Not only is he a fantastic fighter, but you could tell in that fight how much of a dog he is.
I got 3 WBC belts right here. I'm the best in the division. If they want to give me an opportunity now or later, I'm gonna keep winning. You know, like I said, I'm gonna be the greatest in my generation by the time I'm done. And my job is not complete until I make that happen. For Canelo and everybody else, it just shows everybody I'm not around. I'm here to stay. I just look at the facts. You know, the people want to see this fight more than Carlos Adames and Charlo. You know, that's why that fight hasn't happened. But for me and Canelo, we have motion. You know what I mean? I've been winning the fights I'm supposed to win in fantastic fashion. he has nobody else to fight. You know what I mean? So if they want to give it to me now, later, whenever, I'm not going nowhere.
David Benavidez had been persistently chasing Canelo, a legend in the super middleweight class, long before Crawford landed his devastating punch.
I don't really like to bash somebody because at the end of the day, I give respect to Canelo. He's a great fighter.
Yeah.
He's one of the best Mexican fighters of all time.
But wanting to fight him, David, is not bashing him.
Yeah.
That's not bashing him.
But that's what I'm saying. They spin the narrative on Instagram. Right. If I say something, they say this or that. But I only want what I earn.
Right.
And I'm entitled to it. From what the WBC told me, they say you win the title eliminator, we'll give you a title shot. You win the WBC interim title, we'll give you a title shot. I've been in this position for 3 years. So just because Canelo, he could do what he wants, as he says,
right.
He's not going to fight the top competition. And he's holding all those belts hostage, bro. And it's not like, you got other great fighters too. You got me, David Morrell's there. How is it fair that these sanctioning bodies let him pick and choose who he wants to fight? And then the Canelo fans too that be talking shit, bro. Like, you guys not want to see the best fights?
Right.
Like, I don't understand. I'm just trying to make the best fights happen. And that's it. At the end of the day, I just want to give the fans what they want to see.
Yeah.
For several years, Canelo's unchallenged reign was directly threatened by Benavidez, a two-time WBC champion with a dismal professional record of 30 wins, 0 defeats, and 25 knockouts, who held the interim championship.
I'm not scared of nobody. I've hurt everybody that's been in front of me, and Canelo's no different. And I will hurt him too, and I'll take all his belts. It's crazy that he asked for 150 million or 200 million to fight me, but he still has the nerve to say that I don't bring nothing to the table. So if I didn't bring nothing to the table, why are you asking for more money than you won in your whole career if I don't mean anything? Maybe after he gets that money, he can buy himself a pair of balls. What I wanted to tell you guys too, I mean, this guy, he's making the most money out of everybody. He's charging you guys so much for the pay-per-views. It's like spitting in your guys' face, saying that he doesn't give a what you guys want. He's not going to give you the best fight. He's going to fight the fights that he wants. In my opinion, that's a little bit disrespectful to the fans. But he has cult-like fans that, you know, they don't tell him shit and they're happy with whatever he does. But at the end of the day, if you hold all the titles, you got to fight the best in the division. I'm #1 in the division, #1 contender. The second one is David Morrell. He's not fighting me, nor he's not fighting David Morrell. So it makes no sense. How is he going to call himself the champion and have all these belts if he doesn't fight the #1 or the #2 guys? He's asking $200 million. Why, when they bring my name up with him, that's the most money he's going to make. When he fought Amir Khan, he outweighed him by like 25 pounds. But, you know, I think it's just he's running out of excuses and running out of things to say, but that's just how it is. I guess that's when you're the cash cow, you can do whatever you want.
It was more than rumors. It was made of concrete. There were rumors that Canelo had received an incredible offer of $70 million for the confrontation. Benavidez himself attested to the proposition, saying he had agreed to pay a $5 million flat fee to make it happen.
You've been in a ring with both guys, Canelo and Benavidez. If they fought, which I don't think they're going to fight no time soon, who you think will win?
Man, it's hard to say. I think both have pros and cons. You know, I feel like the things that Canelo does better than David. There's things that David does better than Canelo. In a way, I'm not comparing it to this fight, but it's like the better be of Bivol fight. You can say who you think is going to win. You can't say like, oh man, I'm surprised that Bivol won, or I'm surprised that Better Be of won. You're like, man, that's a damn good fight. So-and-so won. So kind of how I feel about the David and Canelo fight, like who had the best camp, who has the best game plan, who slept the best the night before.
And it's not much that separates guys at that level.
If David could get on him with his combinations and not give him room to breathe, then, you know, that's probably a night that David gets his hand raised. You know, if Canelo is able to slow the pace down a little bit and catch him with a big shot. David's been dropped before from an off-balance shot. He wasn't really hurt, but, you know, would you be surprised if Canelo stopped him? You know, you'd be, no. So it's hard to say, but I get asked that.
However, the phone became silent once Benavidez gave his consent. There was a deafening silence with no negotiation or answer. This wasn't merely idle rhetoric from an unproven opponent. Benavidez has walked through fire to obtain his position. His claim was reinforced by his two most memorable recent performances. First, in a vicious retaliation match, he methodically defeated and subdued Caleb Plant. He then totally destroyed the previously unbeaten and extremely talented Demetrius Andrade, compelling his opponent to halt the battle.
You're looking at the one that's going to chase all of them. Like, these guys are monsters, but this is the monster growth.
And what happened next would only intensify the drama.
If Canelo was 100% confident in himself, I don't know why he wouldn't fight me. especially since, you know, seeing that everybody in his team is on steroids, which means including him, so he never got off.
You think he's on steroids?
Of course. How does five?
You saw De La Hoya
How do five people out of your camp get tested positive for steroids? Right. You know what I mean? No, all those fucking dudes in that camp are dirty.
Call for David Benavidez once this fight is done. Is that a fight that you can see happening before the end of your career?
Look, I never say no to anything. We'll see later. But I'm focused 100% on this fight.
Is there a possibility, or you just go one at a time and you also speak with your team?
Yeah, I go one at a time, but you know, it's a possibility, always.
Right.
But I've been in this position my whole life. One was Austin Tron in 2012, 11. Then Mayweather, then Lara, then Cotto, then Callum Smith, then Golovkin, and then if I beat Benavidez, it's gonna be other guy there they want me to fight. So I've been in this position my whole life, but you know, is that time when that fight they ask, I give it to them. Mm-hmm. But right now in this position I am, now is the time I need to ask. If the money is right, I mean.
He thought about his career and said, "Since I was 3 years old, I've had one dream only. That's becoming the greatest boxer of all time, and that's exactly what we're going to accomplish." He claimed that this passion motivates him to pursue all of the top celebrities.
So the way I've seen him handle my presence is he's definitely scared of me. You know, if you have a fighter talking so much trash in front of you, why don't you make an example of him to the world? Beat me in the ring and make a whole lot of money. But Canelo Alvarez, as you can see from every time he fights a guy that's big with power, like the Wall, you know what I mean? And he's not able to suppress these fighters as much as he's able to suppress the little fighters. You know what I mean? So he sees a lot of things in me that he can't stop. You know, not only does he see speed, does he see power, but he sees a lot of heart in me. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I'm going in there and I want to prove myself to the world that I'm the greatest fighter. And it doesn't matter, it doesn't scare me to get in there with another great fighter, because I know that elevates me and who I am as a boxer, as a competitor.
And the drama would only get more intense with what came next.
At the end of the day, he should have took the fight with me way back then, because if he had a chance to beat me, it would have been back then. He has no chance of beating me now, especially now. I'm getting all this confidence. You know, I'm stepping into my prime. You know, I'm able to deal with these bigger shows better. You know what I mean? I'm able to thrive in these shows. I'm able to, every time I fight, I'm always winning by a significant amount. You know what I mean? So I'm learning my craft better and better each and every single fight. I'm gaining more confidence every single fight, and like I said, I really want to go in there and hurt people. I'm not a boxer. I'm a warrior, and I go in there, I tear everybody up.
Ben's fire was stoked by Canelo's silence, which resulted in a string of scathing remarks. When asked how Canelo has managed his presence during the same in-ring interview, Ben didn't mince words. He declared categorically, "He's definitely scared of me." He questioned the reasoning. "Why don't you beat me in the ring, make a ton of money, and set an example for the world if you have a fighter who is constantly spewing trash in front of you?" Benz clarified his viewpoint by highlighting Canelo's battles against more formidable foes like Bivol. "I see a lot of things in me that he can't stop," he explained. "In addition to seeing power and speed, he sees a lot of heart in me as well. It doesn't scare me to get in there with another great fighter because I know that elevates me and who I am as a boxer as well as a competitor," he said, underscoring his own fearlessness.
There comes a time the new guy steps up that says, I am the new guy to carry that torch forward.
Kind of like how when you beat Tyron Woodley, because you were the guy coming up and Tyron Woodley was a dominant champion for a long time and you went and beat the shit out of him. It's the same thing. I'm preparing very hard for this fight whenever it does happen. I don't know when it's going to happen, but you know, I stay training, I stay evolving as a fighter. Not only do I want to prove to the fans, but I want to prove to myself that I'm the best in the world. So if the fight comes, you know, good. If it doesn't, it's not the end of my career. And if he doesn't want to give me the opportunity at 168, that's why I'm going up to 175 right now. Because I'm not going to wait for nobody. This fight's going to put me at the #1 contender to fight for the WBC title, and those are going to get unified at 175. So, you know, like I said, dreams always come true. It doesn't matter if somebody else is trying to stop you. You're going to find your own way, and you're going to make your dreams come true.
To be honest with you, man, let Terence Crawford live. That's his weight class. I lost interest in 168 a long time ago. You know, I mean, I know that we could get offered a lot of money to go down to 168, but I'm more comfortable at 175. I'm chasing better beef. I'm chasing Bivol. You know, I'm chasing these other bigger. I'm chasing Zurdo Ramirez at cruiserweight. You know what I mean? So I've been at 168, but I have no interest in going.
Benz, who is becoming more self-assured and entering his prime, is adamant that Canelo lost his opportunity. It would have been then if he had a chance to defeat me. I'm too strong for him to defeat now.
It's not that important to me to watch Canelo get beat like a rag doll over the ring. It's not that important to me, bro. And that's what's going to happen if I take Benavidez. So the only reason that we really interest you is that you have to see that. I don't care to see Canelo get beat up like that. It doesn't really...
I'm not saying he gets beat up. But
I think he gets hammered.
Okay, but we're looking regardless. So if David Benavidez doesn't fight, that's my point. I think David's going to be the next star. And Canelo has to do what great Mexican legends do. They fight the next guy. They all do that. I want that. I think that's important for the legacy of the sport, for the legacy of the Mexicans. That's therein lies the problem. What? Canelo does care about? The green, obviously, the 150, 200 million, he cares. There's 200 million goes about caring for that fight now. So listen, we make that fight happen. I think it's important that fight happen. I really do. I think David Benavidez has that sort of quality to be the next face of boxing, and beating Canelo, I think, really matters.
This was not mere rhetoric. It was a concise statement of purpose. But this intricate boxing chess match has even more facets. The delicate dance of weight classes and the hesitation of other elite fighters are also part of the ongoing story. Benavidez recently experimented with the light heavyweight class, demonstrating his ambition and comfort level there. When questioned directly during the interview if he could still make 168 pounds, Benavidez flatly denied the possibility. Let Terence Crawford live, man, to be honest with you. He does it that way. A very long time ago, I stopped being interested in 168. He publicly stated his present area of interest. At 175, I feel more at ease. I want a better boyfriend. I am pursuing Bivo. I'm pursuing these other, larger ones. You know, at cruiserweight, Zurdo Ramirez is the target of my pursuit.
Yeah, you fight, but you avoid the monster. You understand me? That's going to tank the rest of his career if he keep trying to fight. Well, it's tough to say because he's made enough money that he can retire. He really has nothing else to prove. We saw him go up, he tested. He did like he tested himself all the way up as far as he could go. He won the light heavyweight title, then he lost to Bivol. So that shows that the light heavyweight was his ceiling. And that's good enough. Really, right now, he got nothing else to prove. You know, I mean, of course, if you keep fighting, people going to demand you fight the monster because both of you guys are Mexican. But to me, you probably shouldn't do that. You understand me? That's probably not a good fight for you at this point, for real, especially coming off a loss to Terence Crawford. It's just, to me, I don't see the hunger there to really beat the monster. You understand me? And that's what my problem was already. I didn't think it was a good fight for him because I don't think the hunger is there. Terence Crawford just showed us that the hunger is really not there anymore like that. You understand me? So you have to be extraordinarily hungry to go out there and beat the monster because you got to put pressure on him from round 1 to round 12 or it's not going to work. And if you're not hungry, you're not going to do that. Same thing he would have had to do to Terence Crawford. He had to put pressure on him from round 1 to round, I'm talking about solid pressure, no space between them. He had to be in his chest for 12 rounds. But he ain't hungry enough to really do that. So if you're not hungry enough to do that, don't go waste your time. Just call it a day because everybody going to want to see you fight the monster. I don't know if they're going to be cool with you fight anybody else, but they're going to keep pushing the monster narrative at you. You feel me? Now, if he wants to have a few more fights for himself, that's cool, but then he's going to get it's going to get very tainted with the fact that they say, yeah, you fight, but you avoid the monster. You understand me? That's going to tank the rest of his career if he keeps trying to fight. So it's better for him to just call it.
This action implied that Benavidez would outgrow the division where Canelo held all the belts, further complicating the Canelo story. Another wrinkle is that following Crawford's historic victory, his trainer, Brian Bomac McIntyre, quickly ruled out the idea of a rematch with Benavidez, saying unequivocally, "We're not interested in that." As a result, Canelo found himself in an odd situation where he seemed to have fewer reasons to skip the one bout that everyone wanted to witness.